So in September I've read 14 books, and there is a secret. Like, I know why I managed to read that many books. Hello wolves, what's up? I hope you're good. So today it's time for my September wrap up, and I've read 14 books. And if you know, I'm just gonna give you my secret right now because it has been such a huge revelation in September, and I'm not even kidding. But in September I managed to read 14 books because I haven't watched any Netflix. That's as simple as that. I didn't open Netflix. I didn't watch anything on Netflix. That's how I managed to read 14 books, because instead of watching an episode or something of 1 hour 45 minutes, I read 45 minutes. And yeah, so if you want to try to read more, maybe that's something you can consider. Less Netflix, less YouTube, less whatever. So yeah, but let's move on to the books I've read. So the first book is The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane by Julia Nobel. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed the mystery behind the school and her father's secrets, etc, etc. So the main character is actually sent to a boarding school in England because her mom is actually super famous in the childcare kind of psychologist, blah blah blah. And yeah, she sends her daughter to a boarding school, and her daughter doesn't know much about her father because her mom doesn't want to talk about him or whatever. But before she leaves for that boarding school, she's gonna find a box full of medallions that apparently belong to her father, and she's going to that school full of mysteries. And I really love the dynamic of the book, the characters and the world building, etc, etc. I really enjoyed it, and the sequel is actually on my wish list, so that's telling you how much I love that little middle grade fantasy, middle grade mystery, not fantasy, middle grade mystery. Then Skyward, I gave it 4 stars as well. Really enjoyed it. I just feel like I didn't have enough substance or enough background or enough on the characters, whatever. Something was missing for me, but I think it's because it was short and not because of the way it was done, whatever. But it's a graphic novel that is 3 volumes long, so that's also great if you want to get into graphic novel like me, and don't commit to like a never-ending graphic novel series or whatever. It's basically the story of a world where gravity is not what it used to be. It's so much weaker, and people are like doing weird things. But there are people like these people living with the new world, the new gravity, whatever, are on top of the city, let's say. And then you have people who don't want to face the changes, and they wear shoes, whatever, and they're kind of capable of walking as they used to, etc. And there is some kind of war, I would say, between them, because actually her father predicted what was going to happen. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Then we have The Wolf Rider, so a middle grade fantasy by Catherine Rundle. I actually cried. It has wolves, it has family, it has friendship, it has snow, it's in Russia, and I loved it. I truly love that one. Basically, it has to do with the main character who is a wolf rider. A wolf rider is someone who's gonna readapt wolves to the wilderness, because actually in Russia people just buy wolves as pets or whatever, and the day they're gonna get annoyed by them, bored, or they're gonna do something they're not supposed to because they are actually treated as dogs but they're wolves or whatever, they're gonna get rid of them and give them to the wolf rider. There is some kind of general living near her and her mom, and he doesn't want the wolves there, and he's gonna cause trouble. So I highly suggest it if you are sensitive and you want to cry. If you love wolves, you might cry. So yeah. Then True Life by J. Christoph. So this is the last book in the Lifelike series. I gave it 5 stars. The first one was 4 stars, the second one was 3 stars, and this one was 5 stars. It was just an amazing ending to the series, and I feel also because I grew to know all the characters in the first book, in the second book, and I knew them in the third book. In the third book, sorry. I really love that sci-fi kind of retelling, and it's a YA. It has amazing characters, it has different kind of robots, it has friendship, it has secrets, it has some kind of politic and different groups being against the other, etc. It's really amazing. I highly suggest that sci-fi. It's one of my all-time favorite. Maybe not for sci-fi newbie, it really depends, but I definitely loved it. Then the other book I gave 5 stars to is actually Aragon, that I'm buddy reading with Ola. I really needed to love that book, and it was actually a 5 stars. I'm so happy and relieved that I actually reread it as an adult and in English, and that I loved it as much as I did when I was like 15 years old or whatever. I love that YA fantasy. I love the relationship between the main character Aragon and the dragon Saphira. I loved all the magic system. I loved the politics in it. I loved every fucking thing in that book, and yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's one of my all-time favorite books. I expected to love it a bit less than I did, but I truly love it. I had like 2 little complaints, let's say, as an adult, is that sometimes they're talking about that months went by or whatever, and I felt like it was only weeks. And also sometimes the way Aragon describes female characters, it feels very teenagery, I don't know, teeny, I don't know how to say that, but it felt like it wasn't by a teenager, which was the case. But as a reader, it might be a bit annoying or whatever. These are the 2 only complaints I'm gonna have, and I cannot wait to read more of the books. Then we have A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. I gave 2 stars because I was hella confused all the time by this book. I'm not gonna talk much about it. I love that it talked about police violence and racism against Black people, but the magic system in it, I didn't understand anything, and stopped me from enjoying the book, because nothing is actually explained, and I need things sometimes to be explained. So yeah, I'm sad, but yeah. Then we have Trinity of Bones, so the sequel to Twice Dead by Caitlin Steele. I gave it 5 stars, as good as the first book, as political, as secrecy, as focusing on friendship and truth and who to believe, etc. I really enjoyed it. So the first one is actually the story of a girl, Naya, who goes on a mission for her father, who is a merchant, and he sails from one city to another to sell stuff, to do blah blah, what a merchant does. And one day she's gonna go on that mission, her first real mission, and she's gonna get killed and bring back from the death by a necromancer. So she's gonna become like a ghost, a wraith. And that's something that some societies, some places in the world don't allow. It's like against the law, and not all people will actually welcome her, even her father or whatever. But she wants to understand how come she got killed, what was that mission her father sent her to, etc. And it's very political, like it's political heavy, and I really enjoyed it. Then we have The Midnight Hour that I listened to, and I gave it 4 stars. It's a middle grade fantasy. It was kind of like, I want to say spooky, because her parents disappear and then weird people keep knocking at her door. There is some kind of night postal service or whatever, and she needs to go through so many things. I actually had a fun time reading it. It wasn't a 5 stars, but I really got involved in the characters and in the story. A bit spooky, but just what it needed to be for middle grade, so I definitely enjoyed it. Then we have Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Engan. So this is a sequel of Girls of Paper and Fire, I believe. I gave it 2 stars. I absolutely didn't like it. I found it blank. Like, I want to say, the first one was a 3 stars, so I wasn't expecting anything from this one. I wasn't expecting to actually love it or whatever, but I wanted it to be like a 3 stars or whatever, but I was annoyed. I feel like nothing happened, and when something happened, it was too easy. It seemed too easy for the characters or whatever. It didn't make sense. So, no, it was a 2 stars. I don't know if I'm gonna read the 3rd book in the series, probably, but I wasn't a fan of. When Dismissed, I gave it 4 stars, so this is a sequel to Nevermore, so middle grade fantasy book. I really enjoyed. I love this one more than I loved the first one. I think it's because I read it in 2 sittings basically, and I really was involved in everything that was going on. Like, I wasn't in and out of the story, because I feel like it's a very complex world. Like, it really reminds me of Alice in Wonderland, with a lot of nonsense and wicked things and like illogical things and whatever. So I feel like when you leave the story, you need like some time to get in the story again, because you want to understand everything that's not logical, whatever. So I really love it, and I cannot wait for the 3rd one. I ordered the 3rd one. It should arrive anytime now. I don't know when, but I cannot wait. Yeah, definitely is a grade that I would recommend to people, even if you're not in a middle grade books. Podkin Stops by Sophie Green. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed that middle grade mystery thriller. Basically, you have that little girl here who wants to write a piece of art. She wants to write something for her favorite journal, whatever, and she's sitting and she waits for something, and she's gonna be in the bus, I believe. Yeah, it was a bus, not a train. And she's gonna sit next to that little boy who is actually full of like mystery, let's say, and she's actually going on that investigation. I cannot say what exactly because spoilers, but the friendship between the two characters is something I really enjoyed reading about, and the fact that the main character is actually going to ask for help from an adult, I really love that, because even us as adults, we don't do everything by ourselves, so sometimes we need help, and I love that it was seen as something very mature to actually ask for help. So I really enjoyed it, and I will continue with the series. Then we have Stress is a Choice. I gave it 3 stars. It's basically 10 rules to avoid stress or to learn how to see a stressful situation or whatever. I enjoyed it, but I didn't get more out of it. It's just 10 rules, so that's why 3 stars. But then I read On It All, so it's also something that's gonna help you understand what you want in life, what you don't want in life, and how to deal with things. Like, it's gonna help you rethink things in a way, like, don't say I don't have time, say, oh, maybe I have too much going on, whatever, if I do that, I will have time. Don't say I'm never gonna make it. Just learn to take baby steps and to actually go for what you really want and not for what the society or people around you want you to want or whatever. You can be a victim but also a warrior at the same time. It depends what you do after. And the narrator is actually the one who wrote the book, I believe, and she says that she was like beaten, her ex husband beaten her, and she decided to change her entire life. I love how it is done because it doesn't make you understand that like she's a hero or that she did something unbelievable or that she's like the best at everything or whatever, because she's gonna talk about things she did, like being a stripper and stuff like that, and there is no romanticizing being like beaten or being a stripper or being whatever. It's just very honest, and I truly took so much out of this audiobook. I really wished I actually read the physical book and not listened to, because there are some parts you can write stuff you said about yourself or stuff you want, stuff you don't want, you know, to try to analyze your life, etc. And I didn't have a pen when I was listening to it because I was maybe driving or whatever, so that's the only thing I had to say, but it was a 4 stars. So I really recommend it. Then The Train to Impossible Places by P.G. Bell. I give it 3 stars. It was a really fun book, actually. It was a fun ride, but I actually think I needed more. I'm definitely gonna continue with the series because the audiobooks are available on Script, at least here in Belgium, and it's basically the story of a train who goes to impossible places, and the main character is gonna get involved in that adventure in that train because one day she's gonna wake up and see that someone is building rails in her backyard for a train that's not supposed to be at the end of her backyard, and she's gonna go in that train and join the post office service team, and yeah, she's going to impossible places, she's gonna do things she was not supposed to, but she's gonna grow out of it and she's gonna learn stuff about life and about herself as well. So I really enjoyed that book. So well, that's it for all the books I've read in September. I think that's enough. I don't need to read more books. I'm actually filming this the last day of September, so I might not read anything else. But yeah, well, let me know one of your favorite read of September or your least favorite read, or if you went in a reading slump, let me know what you did instead of that. Netflix, movie, or you scrolled on Instagram or whatever, you went on walks, whatever. Just let me know what you did in September. But yeah, well, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to be a part of the pack. Talk to me in the comment section as usual, and until next time, take care, wolves. Bye.